Hello everyone, in this video I am going to explain about the ovule, basically the structure and function of ovule. The first point says that the ovule basically the inner part of a ovary. The ovule is basically the inner part or a bag like structure that is called by the name ovary, and inside this bag it contains the ovule. Now these ovule becomes the seed, and the ovary, this bag like structure, become the fruit after the process of fertilization. So we have to remember that the ovule become the seed and the ovary become the fruit after fertilization. The second features of ovule says that the ovule has either one or two protective covering, and these covering are named by anti integuments. Now the third point says that there is a micropyle or a structure or basically a small opening or a hole from where in the integument for the entry of what? For the entry of pollen tube. Basically the elongated structure of the pollen grains that contains the tube cells. So the micropyle is basically the opening from where the pollen tubes enter inside the embryo sac. Now the integuments enclose with the nucellus. This is basically nucellus which contains the food for the embryo sac. And the embryo sac. Embryo sac is a structure where it contains the egg cell and antipodal cell or a central cell. Now if you look at the diagram of this ovule, here it is a round like structure. Basically this is called by the name ovule, and here the pollen tube from where the pollen grain will enter inside the embryo sac, and these lining structure are called by the name integuments, and beside it there is a nucellus. Nucellus is basically food for what? For these embryo sac. Now these the round like structure in which all the 7 cells contains is named by the term embryo sac. Now here the opening from where the entry of pollen tubes or basically the pollen tubes enter inside the embryo sac. So these openings are named by the term micropyle. So here it is. So this was all about the structural diagram of an ovule from where the pollen tube enters into the embryo sac. Now we will understand about the embryo sac that contains the 7 cells. Now each 7 cells have their own name. So we have a 3 numbers, that the one is the 3 plus 3 and plus 1. Now if you see this diagram of an embryo sac, this is an embryo sac, and from here it is a pollen tube, and here it is an opening called by the name micropyle. Now beside this micropyle or above this micropyle there are 3 cells. Basically the side by cells are named by the synergids. These side by cells, this one and this one, are known by the name synergids, and between these synergid cells there is an egg cell. Now above this synergid and egg cells there are 2 cells, but they are called by only one cell because they are basically 2 polar nuclei. So they are divided into 2 polar nuclei, but they are named only for one central cell. So these are named only for one central cell, but they look like in a division method, or we can also say that they are divided into 2 polar nuclei. So we are here seeing only 2 cells. Now above these central cells there are 3 antipodal cells. These antipodal cells are basically not too much important for this embryo sac, and later on they disappeared or disintegrate. So this was all about the ovule, the structural diagram, and the embryo sac that contains the 7 cells. Now in the next video we are going to look after, or we will talk about the topic germination of pollen grains. Till then, thanks for watching.